Hello and welcome to the Q4 2025 Fliplet Summit Demo, 10 new event solution features and improvements. I'm Lisa, I'm the Head of Marketing here at Fliplet. Please ask any questions you have or share any suggestions during the session via the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. I'd love to hear from you. So let's start with some recent updates that have been launched in the mobile event app template recently. We've added the home screen for centralized navigation with easy open of my QR code. We've added one-to-one meeting booking and also digital business cards. QR codes for session and event check-in have been added. We now have personalized agenda management and session RSVP and capacity limits. So let's talk about what the new features are and the improvements that we're focusing on today. We're looking at the updates to our popular mobile event app and a major upgrade to event registration. In the demo today, I'm going to show the mobile app event app improvements for scavenger hunt, exhibitor bingo, speaker self-management, notes, CSV upload and download, and something that isn't going to be shown but we are adding soon is greater control over managing sessions, creating user groups, and bulk personalized agenda assignment. So let's get started into the demo. So I'm going to take us into the Fliplet Studio. This is in preview mode, and we're looking at the attendee view to start with. So you can see I'm logged in as Lisa Broom, and I'm going to take a look at our scavenger hunt. On our scavenger hunt screen, we can see the number of items that we've scanned in the scavenger hunt, the number of items available, which is 7, and the number remaining, so that's 1. I've got a nice progress bar so that I can see how I'm going with my scanned items. I can then also scan a QR code. We'll come back to that in a moment. Admins can add some custom instructions if needed, and then underneath I can see all of the questions that I've answered so far and how many attempts it took me to get to those answers. So if I go into scan QR code on my mobile device, this would normally open the code scanner, but as I'm on a desktop, that won't work today. So for the purpose of the demo, I'll add in a manual code so that you can see what happens. So I'll add in my code now. That is not correct. I will just update that one and validate the code. So I'll see that the scavenger hunt QR code was scanned successfully, and now I'm taken through to a question screen. So the question 7 is, where would you go to learn about the event schedule? I've got 4 options that have been given to me. I'm going to guess the first one, the coffee station. I'm being told, oops, that's not the right one. And we really want people to be able to fill in the right answer here. So we give them the option to try again. I think it's actually the registration desk. I'll hit submit on that, and success, my answer is correct. I can go back to scan another QR code if I'm still running around the venue, or I can go and see my score. So when I come back to the previous screen, I'll see that my score is now been updated to 7 out of 7. I have 0 remaining. My progress bar is full, and now I have a fun little message that tells me that I have completed the scavenger hunt. Moving on to our bingo. So you'll recognize this screen as a little similar to the last one. However, there's some key differences. So for exhibitor bingo, this is where you would traditionally have gone around with a stamp and a piece of paper, and an ink stamp is added when you go and visit an exhibitor. We have 3 exhibitors that have been scanned so far for my user, and I have a total of 6 exhibitors that I can scan, so therefore there are 3 remaining. I've got the progress bar there. But the difference here is that I only have 1 more exhibitor to enter the prize draw. This is often used when there are multiple prizes that can be given, and so therefore the event organizers want to have more than 1 person who qualifies. So the threshold can be set up on an admin level, and in this instance it's set to 4. So I only need to get to 4 exhibitors scanned, and I will have then been entered into the prize draw. Further down the screen, I can see to scan an exhibitor and look at my leaderboard, and then further down I can see the exhibitors that I have already gone to, so I know not to repeat and go back. So we'll go ahead and look into scan exhibitor. Again, this will open the code scanner on a mobile device, but for the purposes of our demo today, I'll enter another manual code. Once I've added that code, I'll be told that I've already scanned that one, so it's working very well. I've scanned this one already. So I'll try and scan another one just so we can show you what happens. it clearly didn't want me to do that again. And I will go with this one. Hopefully this one works. Yes, so the exhibitor QR code was scanned successfully. I haven't been to the exhibitor before, and now I can see that my total number of scans should be at 4 out of 6, which means that I'm now entered into the prize draw. Happy days. The other thing that I'll show you in admin mode is the My Notes section. So this is where I can come and see all of the notes that I've taken against all of the sessions, people, or exhibitors that I've met with. So you can see there's a note type against each, and I can then email all of my notes back to myself, which really helps on leaving an event when I've had some really great conversations and want to follow up. So if I go into attendees, and we'll find someone that I had a great conversation with. I met with Carlos. We were in the breakout session, and I can go into his profile in the attendee directory and I can add a note. It automatically will assign the note type to Carlos when it loads. I'll try that again. Actually, I'll try an exhibitor this time. We can do this also with the exhibitor. So I will find one of my exhibitors, add a note to them. I want to make sure that I follow up about AI, make sure that I note anything about them. It's already given them the note type, and the associated exhibitor has been attributed, and I can click save. And that will now appear in my notes. I'll just wait for this to load. Okay, so I will now go ahead and log out. I'm going to log back in as an admin, and I'll show you some of the admin features, particularly for the items that I've already talked to you about. And now I'm logged in as Elizabeth Brown. So for scavenger hunt, just quickly show you how to manage that. You can manage a scavenger hunt by adding in items individually, the number of the item, the scavenger hunt question, the possible answers, and the correct answer. And then when I would like to, I can see all of the questions that I've already asked. You can add it in, sorry. You can see the one where I had already answered, and you can edit or delete that as an admin. You can also go in here and print the QR code, which is able to be printed out. You can send it to yourself on email, download it as a JPEG, and then that can be put around the venue. This also contains the manual code that I used as well. If we head over to the exhibitor admin capabilities, I want to manage, actually I'll go into the managing exhibitors first. So if I want to manage an exhibitor, I can add them as an exhibitor and click on participate in an exhibitor bingo, and that way they'll be added to make sure that they are part of the exhibitor bingo. You also may have noticed when I went into this earlier, you have the print QR code in the exhibitors, and that will give you the same functionality as we just saw for scavenger hunt. The exhibitor can have this on their mobile device so that an attendee can easily scan that for them, or they can print it out on card and have that at their booth. We also have the ability to look at the people who have entered into the bingo. We can see everyone who's participated so far. So anyone who's scanned anything will appear in this list. Anyone who's highlighted yellow has already met the threshold, so they're an entrant into the prize draw. And then we can see Amira has already won one of the prizes. And then we have a very handy way of drawing a winner. So we can, I've actually won. That's fantastic. I can then put in here that it's a randomized selection. We can select iPad as what I won, and then I can submit that winner. Okay, now I will move over to our desktop view for the next part. So speaker self-management, you'll notice that I was, you may have noticed at the start when I was on the home screen that I have a speaker tools button at the top. This is because I've been allocated one or two speaking sessions. And what I can do for this is come into the speaker tools, select the session that I am allocated to, and I can edit it myself. We've heard from a lot of people that there's a lot of management with speakers to do with events. So allowing them to come in here, change their descriptions, alter anything they need to, add their attachments, so their slide deck or their PDF, collateral that needs to be attached can be added in here and available for anyone to view. We can also then save that, and that information goes against the speaker. And the last part I wanted to show you here on the admin view for the mobile event app is the ability to upload data via spreadsheet. Currently in Fliplet, you can copy and paste from a table or spreadsheet into and out of a Fliplet app. But we're now adding the capability to use a spreadsheet. So you simply select the data source that you would like to upload into. You choose the file and say if you want any records overwritten, and then you can upload the data. And the same goes for CSV download. So you can then choose the data source that you would like and download that to CSV to your device. So really simple to manage that way. So let's head back into our slides and talk about event registration. So our registration improvements include marketing web pages or event information, ticketing, conditional registration forms, session preferences, and automated SMS and email notifications. So if we dive into another demo, I can show you some examples of what we've started to build out. So this is one example of a web page or a website that you might have for your marketing for your event. It contains all the information you would expect to have on the page like this: the description, event speakers, your schedule. Further down, it has any featured sponsors and any FAQs, anything you think is relevant to this scenario. On this particular example, we have register now as a call to action at the top, and this means that someone can register for an event, but there isn't necessarily a cost associated, and it could be just an invite only. Another example, and this really highlights that these websites will be fully customizable, is another version which has exactly the same information in a completely different layout and different color scheme. It contains all of the same things that we saw on the previous version. This variant, however, shows that you can get tickets, and if you already do have a ticket, you can manage them here. So we'll go through and look at what the ticket system is starting to look like. So with Fliplet, you'll be able to select your different types of tickets. You can have an early bird pass, a team bundle for a table, VIP experience, or general admission. I'll go ahead and select the general admission ticket. I just want to get one at this point, and then I can view my basket, add in my email address where I would like to have the email sent to, and then I can have that checked out. Our payments will support Stripe, so you'll be taken to pay that in Stripe. And then once that's completed, you'll be able to head over to My Tickets. You'll enter the email address again to verify your usage, and I can then fill in the registration form, and this can contain as many or as little fields as you require. We can obviously make some mandatory and some optional. So I can say I have no dietary preferences. I can say, well, I do need a hotel room. I can use the date picker to select a date and then select I just want a single room, and then I can add any additional guests if that's the case. Some further questions we can ask, and these are the conditional element of these forms, is that yes, I do require flights. We do the same thing again. Select my departing airport as Washington. Actually, I'd like to fly United, please, and include any information that you require. And then on to some activities. So a lot of the events that we speak to people about, they have a number of activities they want people to log into. You can see all of these are fantastic events. So I'm going to go ahead and select tennis in this instance and complete my registration. So and then I have a confirmation page where I can see that I'm registered for the event. I have all the information there that I've filled in. I can edit that if I need to, and also go back to the event information screen. We're also adding then an admin dashboard. So really important that our users are able to see the admin dashboard. They can see a ticket overview, the number of tickets sold, tickets available, your total event capacity and where you are so far with that. We've got registration status, so understanding how many people have fully completed the registration or not. And then ticket types, you can understand with your capacity how many you've already sold and how many you're waiting on. And then finally, down the bottom, you can see there is a user flow, a listed a list of all the users, their user emails, the ticket names, what's been purchased, where they are in the registration process. So a really useful event registration dashboard for you to understand the progress. So moving on to some other features within admin. So we've got ticket management. This is really going to give admins full control over how tickets are created and managed. You'll be able to easily create new tickets, define titles and descriptions, see how many are available. Pricing will also be flexible. You can assign a standard price, mark tickets as free, or even set a special sale price, and then also mark tickets as out of stock when you're at capacity. You can also tie tickets to specific registration forms, so a different ticket type can trigger different registration experiences. In the example, it could be a VIP you would want to see one flow over a different one. And then visibility is also another useful feature, so that you can hide certain tickets from public view if they're meant only for internal teams or for selected guests. Coming on to event and content management, this gives you the tools to control the broader event experience. So you saw there we had hotel options. You can upload information about those and limit visibility depending on, again, who you want to see that. You can also manage the entire agenda, add sessions and sub-sessions, and set attendance restrictions and decide who can see or RSVP to each activity. And lastly, there's a user management screen where admins can oversee all attendees in one place, making it really easy to track, as I showed you earlier. And then finally, there's the communications management. Really important for us to be able to communicate with everyone who's registered and signed up and has a ticket to the event. So you can then segment the groups by purchases, different ticket types, ticket holders. So really you can see that together these features make it really simple for event organisers to handle everything from ticketing to content directly all within one connected system. So a summary of what I've discussed today, we've gone through the mobile event app showing the scavenger hunt, exhibitor bingo, speaker self-management, notes, and CSV upload and download. All of these will be available by the end of this year. And our event registration capabilities, looking at our marketing website, ticketing, conditional registration forms, session preferences, and then automated notifications. And we're hoping this will be available in early 2026.